our next speaker. So a lot of things that we've learned during the course of 2 days. We are closing in on the 36-hour mark, and we've learned about branding, the brand recognition. I am reminded of example where a boy walks into a party and he asks his friend to go and talk to the girl, and these are marketing concepts that were very well communicated for everyone. This was taught to us in MBA. So if the guy is recognized by the girls there, it becomes brand recognition. If he goes and introduces himself and tries to impress her, that becomes a sale approach, a marketing approach. And if it does convert into a sale, if they like him, so that's a sale, right? And all the concepts explained in a very simple way in a day-to-day activity. And sales is a very easy thing to say, and but a very difficult thing to crack. You might start the process, but it's difficult to convert the sale or crack the deal, right? So here we have someone who assists businesses to increase sales outcomes with a combination of tools, processes, and strategies. He's also building a pre-sales process that automates the redundancies and qualifies leads, so that the businesses can focus their energies on only those prospects who really mean business. You shouldn't be wasting time with those prospects who don't mean business, right? And this person just does that. So to talk about the topic, supercharge your sales in 6 simple steps, is Mr. S. Swaraj. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to Mr. S. Swaraj.
Thanks, Krishna. I don't know whether
You're audible as well as visible, sir.
No,
you're all set to go.
Yeah, okay. Right, thank you. Hey, I think I'm the last guy on the panel, so I'd rather increase the energy in the room than just sit down and, bore you to death. So, all the other things are absolutely important, in terms of you having a brand, you having a proper management of your project, and even as Kushal said, a lot of entrepreneurial expertise, right? One of the key things, of course, I should thank Kushal, because this was a last minute take, and I said, okay, listen, what's how can I be part of it? And he said, yeah, you get the last slot. So I'm here, and I'm thanks to him, I'm still here. Well, so let me actually share my screen right now. I will dive into something that's the most important thing, in most businesses, right? So we have a business built, people recognizes, everything is fine. And then when it comes to converting them into customers is when we basically have the biggest of problems, right? What should we code? Why should they buy from us? And the customers are going to ask you that, why should we buy from you? So let me actually go ahead, share the screen. Okay, I think this is the one. All right, here we go. So the topic today is supercharge your sales in six simple steps. I'm sorry for my stuttering for a minute. I'm not able to see myself. Give me one quick moment, please. How do I see myself?
Sir, we are able to see you.
We are able to see you.
Yeah.
All right.
Even the screen.
Awesome. So transformation does not just, begin in the beginning. It also has to be taken on till the end, right? Till the time where you typically reach out to your customers, make your customers your fans, and let them buy over and over again, from you. And these simple steps, these 6 simple steps. And when I say simple, I mean simple, not easy, mind you, right? There's a huge difference between those two. Easy might not require effort. Simple just does not require, too much of cutting and rather too much of elaboration. So let's dive into something that's the simplest. First of all, for any business to happen or any idea to take shape, we go from what we dream, and we have to, as Kushal said, we have to put in passion into our dream, and that becomes a desire. And then once it becomes a desire, it can't stay a desire. It has to basically boil down to, proper details, right? Like what we saw, how project management is done, right? You just can't have the scope. You'll have to basically, further that scope. So considering the fact that the dream and the desire is already something that I'll dive into the details, right? So let me begin with a very simple scenario. This is the entrepreneurial process, right? We have a problem, we get a new idea, we experiment on a few things, we implement those things, and then we want to get the benefit out of it. Well, if it was as simple as this, then my entrepreneurship journey should have typically been as boring as it will ever be. But I failed twice, and this is I think the fourth time I'm actually restarting. So here is this thing. Now let me give you a small story, right? And I'm giving you a story of today. Let's say there is John Doe who came out of Google, who's a software engineer, right? He saw that everybody wants organic food. He saw, I have the money, I can buy a farm, I can do farming, and I can be the next entrepreneur, right? He goes to a farmer, says, hey, listen, you've been farming for quite some time. I want to buy your land, and I want to do, I want to get into farming as well. The farmer asks, are you sure? He says, yes. He says, okay, fine, let's do the deal. So he buys the farm, and now he says, hey, what am I supposed to do? So he does what all all millennial entrepreneurs do: go YouTube, right? How do I run a farm? He sees that you have to sow the seeds, and then after sowing the seeds, it reaps into whatever fruit it has to bear. Then he picks the fruit, goes to the market, dumps it there, takes the money, comes out, right? Simple process. But do you think that's how entrepreneurships work? And do you think that's how processes really work? Just similar to agriculture or farming, right? We have to have the sales seed sown long before we actually start selling, right? And one of my favorite thought leaders called Dan Locke says, stop selling and start closing, right? Which means to say, increase the experience and increase the probability of the person buying from you rather than pushing it down their throat. So let's take the 6 steps that we're talking about. 6 steps I believe in and I help people with: focused goals, super segmentation, and I'll come to what this is, the relevant audience, purpose-driven content, I'm sorry that has been misspelled here, tighter engagement, and then targeted result. So first of all, I think most organizations even today think that the customer is somebody who buys from them, right? Amazed the first time somebody buys from them, they're thrilled. 50 people buy from them, they are thrilled. Even Instagrammers, like, they have 1,000 followers, they're celebrating with a cake. Well, technically speaking, there's just people who know you or know your name, right? So let's look at what exactly goes on in the sales process when we talk about a focused goal, right? There is a very well-known saying: if you don't know where you're going, your destination could be anywhere, right? So first of all, first thing that we have to focus on, and I'm sorry, I have to be probably humble, because there are very, very seasoned mentors out here in the sales process who I respect, And so I probably should not be speaking to, too much into it, but because, let's say, I believe in the new age sales process, I'm going to blow off my head for a bit, right? So one of the things that we always do is we first make the product and then we chase the customer, right? And the customer is the person who buys our product. And once he buys our product, what's the next thing that we do? We say, okay, do you have friends, family, whoever can buy from us? So referrals? Yes, thank you. Then let's, let them sell it to them. Now, whether they're convinced with you or not, whether they trust you enough or not, we start selling. The moment we start getting, let's say, just nothing else, an email address and a phone number, we start sending out our emailers to them. We don't even prospect to see whether these are the kind of people who will really stick with us, who are really going to appreciate what we're selling, who really are going to be our loyal customers. Because if you do not have loyal customers, what do you have, right? So if you don't know where you're going, your destination could be anywhere. This is what brings me to one of my key aspects, which I talk about as super segmentation. It's interesting. Krishna Arjun talked about the dating scenario, a few minutes back. A long time back, I was going to be writing a book called Business is Equal to Dating, because the same principles that you have for dating, right, or very similar principles actually, define your business. And the same thing that has goofed up the dating scenario today is the ones that are goofing up the business scenario as well, right? Which is, again, anybody who buys is the customer, or anybody, jo pat gayi wo girlfriend, right? So this is where we have to draw the line. So everybody is not your customer. So how do you basically go about doing this? First of all, what product are you selling? And what kind of person will use that product regularly? What kind of person will use that product and have something substantial, some substantial improvement or benefit in his or her life, right? Who is the person who is going to best fit this particular segment? Now, when I'm talking about segmentation, generally we say, oh yeah, you know what, this is the industry that we have to focus on. Okay, let's basically talk. Let's say I'm a HR firm. Oh yes, I'm going to be into the I'm into IT recruitment. Why? Because IT guys are hired the most. So even if I get a lesser percentage on every person, I'm going to get a lot of money over the period of time. So I'm going to become rich, right? But one of the key things that I was when I was reading about, I was reading about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They have something very, very interesting. They have something called mental models that they use, right? One of the important mental models that they see is they don't see what other people have done, right, and then say, how can we improve it? They strip the entire process to its bare minimum and say, how can I improve this such that my competition will take way longer time to reach my position when I'm in the market than just get an upgrade by launching a small feature on it, right? So the segmentation generally that happens is your industry, the geography, the kind of person that you're targeting at. Now let's look at the same scenario where we're talking about the farmer, right? What is the kind of people he is going to hire? He's basically he does it. Will he be able to just put an ad in say the Times of India and say, hey, listen, you know what, I want 5 people who can work their asses out, or sorry for the language, who can work days out such that there could be a wonderful I could get a wonderful produce. Is that something that they will look at? I doubt that they are going to come seeing an ad, right? Because they probably don't even know how to read. So what is his best way of approach? You would probably look at those people who are already farming or who already know the trick, or who already know the technique, and who are going to help him basically improvise, right? So what is important right now is to find out what is the ideal customer, the one ideal customer or the two ideal customers that you will ever get, and then deep dive into what are the things that this particular customer likes, where does this particular customer hang out, where does this what is that particular person wear, what could be his salary, what could be his expenses, what kind of flat does he live in, what kind of car does he own. And that's when you start having a very, very clear understanding of who this person is. Once you have that person in mind, you start understanding, or you start looking for people like that, because that guy bought it, and he will be willing to stay with you because you identify the correct target. Similarly, the relevant audience. So you have to, just having these customers is not important. It is also important to make them your fans, because those people now are going to be enthusiastic about sharing their story about how you change their lives. And that's how it happens. One of the live examples I know of personally is Suresh. Suresh Babu has gets more people who are how do you call it, enthusiastic about his workshops, refer people, than those people who will just do it for the sake of doing it, right? So we have such kind of people always here. And I know one of my friends called Bijal, who keeps innovating, keeps to respond to make sure that he's relevant to the audience. So this is a very, very, very interesting the important thing, that your fans love you enough not to basically go away from you. Now that you have the fans, now you have to engage them, right? So how are you going to engage them? A very purpose-driven content. What does that mean? That means you're not going to talk, you're not going to post something that you like 15 times in a day. You're going to post something they like, even if it is for 5 times a day, or even if it is for 100 times a day, because they are then saying, hey, listen, this guy is talking my language, and that's the reason why I have to be the associated with this person. One of the key examples I have is there's this guy called Guy Kawasaki, right? I was thrilled by when I met him. He's an amazing speaker. He's an international speaker. He knows he knows his he's a branding guy, he's a sales guy, he's an ex-Apple employee, and I was also associated with Apple. So we all that guy is amazing, and he also likes Mercedes-Benz and Apple. And he said, hey, listen, you know what, you like these two brands just like I do, why don't you also try Canva? And this particular presentation is on Canva, right? Canva is a wonderful tool. He said, talk to me when you're also a fan of Canva. And I'm yet to talk to him, but I'm already a fan of Canva, right? So like Bruce Lee said, if you're the person who has practiced one kick 10,000 times, not the one who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, which means to say, instead of reaching out to 15 different people, 50,000 people and saying somebody might be my customer, focus on one and keep seeing how you can benefit that person. And it's always not required that it has to be for exchange for money today, because tomorrow there's a better currency that you can be paid off tomorrow, which is actual fan base. The next thing that you should look at is a tighter engagement. What does tighter engagement mean? I heard Kushal just now talk and say, hey, listen, start engaging on YouTube where the people really are, right? And we talked about social media marketing being one of the key areas. But what people generally do is they say, okay, you have to be everywhere, so let's focus on everything and everywhere. But the whole focus is, and as of today, the technology has improved. I don't know how many of you know this tool called Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse is a Clubhouse, and you are part of Meetup. These are all tools that are of small audiences, tight-knit audiences, There might be only 2,000 people there, but those 2,000 people speak the same language. And because they speak the same language, it's like your community, right? You go to, you live in townships, you live in an apartment, and all those people have common woes or common interests. And, you play tennis together, your kids play in the playground together, you learn from each other. This is what happens in communities, right? So that is typically what happens. And when you have a tighter engagement, you have a uh, more firmer bonding. And once you're bonded with them, they're going to tell you if they have a problem. You might know this, that feedback is the most difficult thing to get. There are people who might rave about it and say, hey, this is wonderful. And but those people who really have a problem with you, they're not going to come out and tell you what it is, right? So there's no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. And what it cares about should be, your betterment. And then, of course, the targeted results, right? So, one of the sessions that I was going through is we were talking about how measurement is very much required. Yes, this is a smaller community. There are less number of people, but you know so much about them that it's important for you to measure how important, amazing their journey was, or what is that their regrets are, or what is that their complaints are, so that you can jump into action and rectify those issues, right? And frankly speaking, if you do not have targeted results, then you are probably going to end up having amazing people, but them neglected by you, right? Because you're not interacting with them on what concerns them the most. So growth is never by mere chance. It's the result of forces working together. And one thing that I think in terms of the World Transformation Day that's happened is, when Kushal told me that 150 speakers who came in just to share with the world their knowledge, I said, wow, that's the result of forces working together. And that's how, the platform is going to grow, not just by one person's contribution, but by this community, by this cumulative, input. And that the benefit is going to be so much fold because of even the positive, everybody's positive about this, everybody has positive vibes. And that's one of the things that one of the speakers that I attended, I don't remember his name, I think it was Afreen Khan, if I'm not mistaken, said, why we celebrate Holi and why we celebrate Diwali, because that brings us, that's like everybody is, and why is there Valentine's Day and Rose Day? Because everybody is in the mood for celebration. So the celebration is in the air, and when the celebration is in the air, it heightens the enthusiasm, it heightens the end result. So that's what forces coming together do, in my understanding. And then let's come to my favorite topic, right? There are a lot of things that we do as part of our marketing, as part of our branding, and part of our sales. And when I say sales starts right from the beginning, right? When you even practically you do branding of your product, you practically design your product so that it can sell, right? So when that is what is happening, you are spending a lot of times on tasks that have to be done, all right, then those that, or rather tasks that need to be taken care of rather than those that are important. Or let's say for that matter, one thing I talked about, important versus urgent, right? So when you're doing important tasks, you forget urgent tasks, right? But some of these important tasks can typically be automated today with technology. I'll tell you a simple thing, right? Automatic customer service, right? Today, a lot of websites use chatbots. What do the chatbots do? They start a conversation for you. They start a conversation to the extent of they will make the person comfortable and probably give them basic amounts of data, right? Once that is done, once you have that particular chatbot giving, then you have something very specific that you can ask. Let's say I'm just giving you, you're going to a travel website and you're saying, hey, what is it, what is it called? What are the flights that are there from this particular, say Bangalore to Delhi tomorrow? So when you say Bangalore to Delhi tomorrow, it will give you certain flights that are there available. Then you'll say, hey, listen, what about those that are probably in the noon time and not in this one, so that I can travel in the noon and not waste my lunch hour. So it'll give you those. But when you start asking, let's say very specific questions, will I be allowed to carry, let us say, liquor in my baggage, right? That's when it starts, it requires somebody in person to actually answer that query. And it says, hey, listen, you know what, this, I will connect you to an agent. And an agent answers, and the agent might have a lot more responses. And when it comes to specific cases, let's say I want a refund of my amount, it takes you to the exact refund department or the billings department, rather than it taking you to somebody who doesn't know anything about whatever it is. So certain automation really helps. In some cases, there is humongous amount of automation. Like for instance, in e-commerce, it happens. You go there, you search for something, you click on the product, you add it to cart, and then you check out. And then it already sends you a message saying, let's talk about Amazon, because we talked about Jeff Bezos before. It already sends you a message saying, hey, listen, your parcel has been or your whatever you bought has been dispatched. It's going to come to you between this time and this time. And then once it's the day of the delivery, it also gives you the number of the agent who is going to deliver and say, hey, listen, this is what it is. Now, do you really think there is some person out there doing this? Not at all, right? And one of the other things that we see automation in is we ask Google Assistant, we ask Siri, we ask Alexa to basically remember things for us or do certain things for us, add it to a cart, buy, I don't know, groceries, buy medicines, or remind you of certain appointments. And all this, it has an automation behind it. And this automation can be used to our advantage. And there are people who may say, hey, you know what, if I use automation, I will probably be not giving as many jobs. But think about this. The more times you automate, or more things that you automate which are redundant, which does not require person to do it, the more you can upskill the person to do smarter things that the machine can't, right? The machine can't, the machine can't emote as of today. That might change, but I'm just saying, right? Now, so how can we basically build a robust pre-sales system? And pre-sales actually should start from the time when you are, when you have leads, you're qualifying the lead, and then you are converting them into sales, right? So right from the time when you have leads to the time, right from the time when you have leads to the time when you are going out there to negotiate your sale, right? That should be the pre-sales process. But because we are talking about sales right in the beginning, we can start doing qualifying of the leads much earlier, so that we are not dealing with those people or those customers or those prospects which are not going to convert, right? Or even if they convert, they're going to be a pain in the head. So let's look at pre-sales right from the beginning, where we integrate tools. There are so many automation tools. Today we are using Zoom, and if you the people behind it know that there is another software that is being used, which can broadcast, where people can watch this on YouTube, right? And people can watch this probably on Facebook too, I'm not sure. But these are tools that are already available, which we can make use of, and we can help automate. Two, the processes. Now, there's a very, very good saying, the new age knows all the tools, and the veterans know the processes, which means the people who are, decades of experience within building a business, sales, or whatever part of the business it is, have so much of knowledge by things that are failing, by things that have won, by things that have that require special scenarios to operate, that by things that have dependencies and things of that sort. they require so much. They have so much of information that if you club these both, you can really get a lot of juice out of it, which can supercharge and super speed your business. And then, of course, there are strategies. Now, the strategies, as somebody just mentioned, is something that's designed for everybody. I think it was Mr. Joshi who talked about social media. And this is designed for people. So let's say you are having a certain problem, you having a certain goal in mind. There is a different strategy to achieve that goal vis-a-vis somebody else. For example, if I want more sales, or want more, let's say, caps to be sold, then my process will be slightly different than if I want, somebody to buy a, Mercedes-Benz car, right?
So that's it's time.
Yes, I think that's the last thing that I have. So predominantly, if you're looking at the entire thing, the transformation does not stop at where it starts, and does not stop at transforming others. It also starts by transforming your own thoughts, your own processes, and your own beliefs, so that you can start taking help, you can start using tools, you can start using processes, and then make your life a lot more better, so that you have more time to do such wonderful things like contribute your time and your efforts. Thank you. This is where I am reachable at all the social channels. I'm on Brandbull. So that's it.
Thank you, Swaraj sir.
Pleasure.
Lovely session. I wish you the very best for the book that you were talking about,
It's
and
yet to process.
also you're arriving at something very crucial for businesses with automation of pre-sales and taking out the redundancies. So wishing you the very best for that,
Pleasure.
and
Thank you very much.
uh, we should definitely collaborate in the near future as well. So
Sure.
thank you, Swaraj sir. Ladies and gentlemen, along with ma'am, I would like to thank you for being part of this amazing journey. We've been learning throughout this journey, and it's just 14 more minutes before we reach the 36-hour mark. And what a journey it has been. A lot of knowledge being imparted, a lot of successful communication that has happened, and we've done this because of some experts who have spoken to us, who have addressed us in the last uh, 35 plus hours. So let us recognize them one more time, and then I'll hand it over to the mastermind, Kushal sir. Kushal sir, would you want to take it over from here itself?
I'll play the slide if you want to say. Otherwise, actually, I'll be going to do that part actually.
Sure, sir.
I've
Okay.
updated these slides, so that's the reason.
Lovely, lovely. So with that, we would love to be there on the call, but we would love to hand it over to Kushal sir, the mastermind of this architect of this fantastic initiative on World Transformation Day celebrations. So over to you.
Thank you.